Oh, good evening and welcome to Be More Super Live. It's Wednesday. Thank you for everyone watching, joining us. I know the Euros is on, but hey, we know what happens every single time. So, yeah, Dan, I'm so pleased that you're with us because I know that you're a massive Sheffield United fan. Um,
I will fight you. I will fight you so hard.
they're the same team. But you know, I'll put it
Bro,
right out there Sheffield Wednesday, of course. But
thanks, man.
we've got a great guest tonight. I saw this film a few weeks ago. Absolutely breathtaking. It's called The Last Breath. And we've got the star with us, and we're going to introduce her very, very shortly. But to remind everyone about our guests coming up next week, we have got Jason James Richter from Free Willy, also Never Ending Story Part 3. He's going to be,
Turn around.
yeah, not that
Can't
one.
wait.
But yeah,
All right.
it's the third one. It's the third one. But Free Willy is a classic film, I've got to say. And then the week after, we've got the lovely Clive Standen from Vikings talking about his latest film, Clear Cut, with Stephen Dorff and Tom Welling. But any news in your camp this week, Dan?
This weekend, I've been working at Silverstone, doing 19-hour shifts, waking up at 3 a.m. Got to shake Lewis Hamilton's hand, and I met the son of Michael Schumacher, Mick Schumacher. I was hosting the Mercedes bar. It was all very high
Posh.
end, and you get these people that are like really mega important. I mean, Formula One is essentially millionaires driving around the track and people going whoa, 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 the whole time. But it's not so much the people, it's the sycophants around them who are like trying to prepare you and don't say this and don't say that, and can you get your guys to leave the room, and he's just a geezer, like I
He's
must admit,
just a man
I
that gets
just wasn't
paid a
in it.
bit more than us, to drive a
Yeah,
car mad around the streets. To be fair, F1 needs to be looking in some areas in Manchester and Nottingham
yeah.
because they'll get the
Yeah,
future
if
F1
they had
drivers
like
just there.
if they had F1 in like Salford and Rotherham, you know what I mean? And just had a couple of geezers in like Renault 5s and Vauxhall Novas from like 1994, it would make a better sport.
It would. It would. But you know what? Let's get on with this week's live stream. Let's get this guest on. She's very, very busy, very in demand on her IMDb. She's got 5 projects in post production. So I'm surprised she's got time to join us tonight, but let's get her on. So, star of The Last Breath, that is out now in the UK. On video on demand, and on the 26th of July in the US. Finally, they get something second, which is great. It's the wonderful Kim Spearman. Kim, welcome to the show, my love.
Hi.
And am I right in saying it was your birthday yesterday?
Oh, it was, yeah. We gave it away.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Did you do
you.
anything nice? Did you go out anywhere nice?
I had a very relaxing day. I had a little spa day. I had a nap. Really exciting. And a takeaway. That's what happens when you get in your 30s, surely.
Oh,
What
you
a
know
day.
what? Yeah,
Ah,
you know what? At my
perfect.
age, birthdays literally it's just another day. You just count them down, but they go quicker the older that you get. So you know what I mean. Make the most of them now.
Look, don't get me wrong. I love a fuss to be made, but I was like, yesterday, I was like, I need to relax. I just need to chill. That's all good. Like,
Oh, good. So it may be a surprise, and we're going to talk about this later. But you're not American because obviously in the film you have got an American accent, which is fantastic, which has fooled
mhm,
me, which has been
okay.
great. So it's great to find out that you're actually British, which is fantastic. But let's talk about a few questions about your early career and how you got into it, and then we're going to talk about this
Mhm.
awesome film. So what initially inspired you to go into acting and not work at Woolworth, not Woolworths. That's showing my age. That is, isn't it?
You did,
That
didn't you?
closed. That closed down like 20 years ago. Starbucks or Costa Coffee. Why acting?
Um, I I fell in love with it when I was a kid, but I just usually did a lot of sort of drammy local things just for fun. And actually, my husband and I have restarted watching the Pirates of the Caribbean series, and I remember when I was like 11 when that first came out, and watching that first Pirates of the Caribbean film in cinema was the first time I felt like I just like
11.
woken up. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to do this. And then I sort of let it lie for a little while. I didn't really think of anything of it. And then in my early 20s, I started doing a bit of modeling work. My old agent was like, you're like doing a bit of theatre-y stuff. Do you want to audition for this short film, fashion film thing? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Got it, and ended up on set for this amazing film called Alive. It was about a puppet coming to life. And I did quite well on the festival circuit. And I'd been on set for about 18 hours and just fell in love with it. And I was like, yeah, this is a bit of me. I want a bit of this.
Excellent. You know what? Is there been a point in your career so far that's actually, solidified your decision in wanting to act? Has there been a point where you thought, do you know what? I'm actually good at this, and I'm glad that this is my life decision. I mean, is there a point that you've got
apart
to?
from meeting us,
Yeah.
meeting us, which is obviously now the highlight of your career now, Kim. You know
Obviously.
what I mean? But, the second one.
After that introduction, I'm feeling very affirmed, though. A point. I definitely say my first feature film that I did, which is called As I Am. It was my sort of first time on a bigger set, and I just had the most wonderful experience with the cast members and the crew, and they're all very close friends now. And it was nice to be on the set and just create something. And I know this sounds kind of very cliche, but just to be involved with creating something and be around a group of people getting so excited and into their characters, and it just being about them and what you want to create out of it, and taking all the sort of bullshit out of like, what should I do? What's going to have the most impact? Was like, well, actually, what's working for us, what feels right, and having that sort of click between everyone and that bond on set. It's quite addictive. I think that's why everyone sort of hangs in there for so long, because it's like you get on set and then obviously, it goes quite ebbs and flows, and you always crave that feeling of being back. But definitely my first feature film, that was 100% what solidified it for me.
And what does it feel like to finish a feature film? Because, you're around all these people for so long and you build these relationships, and it's like a mini family. I mean, when you finish that production, I mean, having that much of an impact on you, what was that like to wrap for the first time?
It's hard after you're so excited because it's exhausting, and you get to the end and you've done like however many 12-hour days and nights and flip-flopping back and forth and running around like lunatics, and you want to do your best and you want to get it done, but then it gets to the end and you sort of get that, oh, it's over. And then of course it takes ages in post. So then you have this like year-long wait and you're like, did I even do this thing? This is kind of crazy. What happened there? And then all that excitement starts building up again as soon as you get the trailers coming out and all of that sort of festival run and those things like that.
I mean,
Is there sorry, Brian, my apologies. I've got a bit of a delay on Kim. It happens every time, and I always end up talking over him. My apologies if I do it to you. Him, I'm not bothered about, but if I do it to you, I'm really sorry.
Don't worry.
Like just walking away from that film set, as Brian says, there's a bit of there must be a degree of trepidation when you walk away and go, I've just done this really amazing thing. I've done something that's hyper creative. And Brian and I have a similar sort of vein where, we're long since retired entertainers, but we need to keep a level of entertainment, creativity in our lives, right? Because it is addictive. But there's a degree of trepidation when you walk away from that set thinking, what now? You know what I mean? What if this bombs? What if I don't get any more roles? Because like you said, post-production takes so long. You might have learned some acting techniques over in that year, and you might look back on some projects you do when it comes out and go, oh God,
that's definitely happened. But then if you're always comfortable with what you've done, then you're not progressing, surely. And I think as well, I've got to a point now where I feel like I've kind of got used to that uncomfortable feeling. Like I read a lot of biographies, and it's so nice. Like the last one I read was Viola Davis's, and she talks about even after winning her Oscar, how like she's still, I'm really nervous and I'm not sure if I can do this on set. And it's like, oh wait, shit, that never goes away. Cool. And I think I realized after the first couple of films that I did, when reviews came out, I was like, oh, I actually don't care like what people think. And it was really, and I was like, and which is surprising because I really thought I did. And I was like, you know what? I think I get more nervous showing my friends and family. So to the point where when there's screenings, I'm like, I don't want you to come. I will go on my
Yeah.
own. Because like the people you love, it's like, oh, you care way more about what they think than like random, you know. It's obviously you want to do a good job. You always want to do a good job, but you cannot please everyone. So I think like learning to let go of it and do what you can in the moment is just the best thing.
Do you
And
feel your family are your biggest critics? Because I know, I do a couple of podcasts, and I will get text messages now. I've been doing it for about 14 years, and my brother will text me out the blue and go, "You're better than that. That was trash." I'm like, "Thanks, Mike. Cheers, pal."
Thanks. I think that's so British though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the first time my mum watched a film, she was like, "Oh, character's a bit of a one, isn't she?" I was like, "Yeah, thanks." But luckily, like, I mean, I don't know about your family, but luckily mine are not anywhere near the industry, so they kind of it's all very new, so I can sort of get away with a lot more, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, or they just say it all behind my back. I don't know.
I mean, I was going to say, talking about critics, I think the majority of them, I've said it before. I think on purpose they give films bad reviews just to make themselves stand out. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just sort of like, look at me, I must know what I'm talking about if I'm just slating films. But obviously, growing up and obviously getting into this industry, did you have certain influencers, people that you looked up to, that you wanted to, aspire to be sort of like?
I think there's a lot of actresses from my generation that really inspire me, and just the different roles they're taking on in terms of I'm in a similar age range to like um, Jennifer Lawrence and Margot Robbie, and those women's careers and how they've taken on so many different genres, especially Margot with her
Mm,
production company, and how much they've just taken on so many amazing scripts like I, Tonya, which is one of my favorite films. It's
mm,
incredible. So I definitely drew a lot of inspiration from them for sure. I love character actors as well. I love I mean, like I said, Pirates of the Caribbean was the first film I was like, oh shit, this is amazing. And that was watching Johnny Depp's character. So yeah, I love a good character actor as well.
yeah, he is stunning in that, and I love it. I love to see how savvy actors are now in the way that they get to a certain level, and then they don't stop there. They get a production company and they
Hmm.
start doing things that they want to do without getting interference from the big studios, and then the
Yeah.
power is in their hands, not the big studios, which is fantastic. I mean, do you have
Hmm.
a plan in place in what you want to do in your career? Have you got like an end goal of who you want to work with?
I
Bless
hate
you.
that.
To work with, or the sort of things that you want to do in the in industry.
I'm a huge fantasy literature nerd. Like it's all I read. To the point that it's like, okay, I just need to I need to read something else for a change. So I would love to be involved in a really great fantasy book to TV adaptation or movie adaptation. That for me would be like the pinnacle, to be involved in something like that, whether it's from the acting side or from the production side, just to be involved in putting that to screen in the right way. They're always the most expensive productions to do,
Mm.
and I feel like sometimes so many big studios can really rush them and put them out
Yeah.
really quickly, or try please everyone rather than sticking to the content and sticking to the material that already has such a huge fan base.
Mm.
So I'd love to to do one of those. I think that would be huge. Or working with particular directors like Guy Ritchie or Ridley Scott. Yeah.
Guy Ritchie, oh, just a
Hmm.
legend, a legend. His latest film,
Amazing.
I just absolutely love. I really do. Henry Cavill at his best. I love him as
Yeah.
Superman, but in that film, I would love to grow my moustache to that size. It's just it's fantastic. So, what advice would you give before we talk about your latest project? What advice would you give anyone that's watching that may want to get into the industry? Any advice of the pitfalls or things to watch out for that maybe you've learnt from?
I think stop trying to please everybody was a lesson that I didn't learn as quickly I wish I had. Like when you get an audition, And I think when I first started out, I was like, okay, what do they want? What do they want? And it's like, oh, actually, what they want is to see what you make of it, and it sounds a bit cheesy, but who you are and where you've come from, and all those things that make you is what is going to put a unique perspective into a character. And I really realized that when a couple of years ago, just post COVID, when things were a little slow, I started assisting a casting director friend of mine and being on the other side of the table and having someone come in and just completely flip a script on its head and be like, oh, I never even thought of it that way. And it's so intriguing to watch. And so I think for people starting out and going through that process and feeling quite nervous to go in the room and what to do and got to figure it out, it's like all you can do is do what you love out of it and what makes you feel good. Like, you can't please everybody, and you're going to get the most enjoyment out of it that way. You're going to get the most passion from it and love from it. So, and I think that's why you do the creative side at the end of the day, right? It's your creativity. So I think that for me would be the biggest piece of advice I would give.
So let's talk about what we're here for, which I am so excited. Let me bring up a picture. There we go, of The Last Breath, which is an awesome film. I can't believe I saw it before you did. So
I know, when you said you had a screen out, I was like, I haven't seen it yet.
I know. How lucky was I? But I really, really enjoyed it. Really did.
Good.
And do you know what? We often see a lot of movies, me and Dan, and you know, it's quite nice to watch. I mean, the majority are very good. So this one, it's got sharks. I'm scared of sharks. Two, it's got underwater. I'm scared of the sea. And it's got a great cast. But we're going to talk about that in a second. But for anyone that hasn't seen the movie yet, that wants to see it, shall we have a look at the trailer? Shall we have a peek at the trailer?
We found a ship. It's from the Second World War. A ghost.
So no one's been in there?
No. I know you're all pretty good divers, but this is different. So whatever happens, we have to stay together.
The USS Charlotte, buried in the sand for 80 years. Are we sure about this? Nice and easy. The slower you go, the more air you save. Holy crap. This is awesome.
Why isn't there more stuff growing here?
What was that?
What was that? I don't know.
We were trapped. There are two ways out. There's a shark on either end.
Everyone stay still.
I don't want to drown.
Stay calm. Shark!
What do we do now?
Just hang on.
I just want to get out of here.
What's going on? Behind you!
So how amazing is that trailer? Do you know what? Last week we were talking about how important trailers are, and there's some trailers out there that absolutely are awful, and there's some that are amazing. And that trailer, having watched it, I'm like, it's bringing back all the bits, and it's making me feel uncomfortable. So my first question would be: is you filmed the film, and then you saw it. What was your first reaction to actually seeing the film in its full glory?
I'm just so proud of it. And I think going back to what we were saying earlier about that apprehension and the time, I mean, we filmed at the end of 2022, so it's quite a long way, while back. And finally get to see it. And we had such a lovely screening, we got to see his cast and crew, and just, I feel so proud of everything everybody done. And I think during the filming, there were so many things to overcome within that space that it all came together so nice. And like the sharks look great. I felt really proud. It's so beautifully shot as well. So it's not, just a thriller. I think it looks really
Yeah.
stunning too.
Yeah,
That's
there's
beautiful.
the shots of the divers' faces, the way they're lit up is absolutely beautiful. Like because when you've got a movie such as that and they've got all this breathing apparatus on, you can really tell who the different characters are when you're in it. And some of the scenes, especially like Brian says in that trailer, the one where the geezer's swimming towards the boat. Like I didn't see that coming, but I kind of did. But I didn't see the way they did it. I can't give too much
Yeah.
away, can I? This
I know, I'm
movie's not
like,
out yet.
what do I say? I was like,
Do you know
but
what?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go on.
mean, saying about being able to see each other as well, like it's dark in the film. It was dark under there, what we filmed in.
Mhm.
I couldn't, and because of the way they had to light our faces and the masks, those those full face masks, they have like the light on the top, but obviously it would have reflected on the camera, so they had to put diffusers. So you're not only in the tank in the dark underwater, but because of the diffusion, I could only really see my own eyes being reflected back at me a lot of the time under there. So I was like, I don't know who I'm speaking to right now. I think I'm speaking to who I mean to speak to. Like, yeah,
They're
I
like,
think
Kim, turn around, Kim, you're
I'm
talking
like,
to the
okay,
shark.
literally.
Do you know what? One of my favorite characters in it is Logan. If it and when he's putting the pipes together, I chuckled then in the trailer because I remember I laughed because he not to spoil it, he arrives quite hungover to go diving. And that just reminds me of when I lived in Cyprus and I did my first bungee jump. I was quite hungover, and
Oh my God.
yeah, it was terrible. And
Ryan, have a bottle of Lucozade and cry on the back of a bus like the rest of us. Who goes bungee jumping?
To be honest, I couldn't find any of the bottled water. All I had was a can of Keo lager. So I had that in the morning and then went and regretted it. But anyway, so this film, what attracted you to the role of Sam and this project, and how did it come about for you?
So I was on set filming another film at the time when I got given the pitch deck and I just saw underwater and I was like, yes, absolutely, because I love diving anyway. I'd done a bit of scuba, but mostly free diving, a little bit, just as casually with family, but nothing like extreme as that. So yeah, I love being in the water. I'm a big ocean baby. So yeah, I just saw underwater and I was like, that is a sick challenge for a start. I love a shark movie. Who doesn't love a shark movie? I mean, so yeah, I saw that and then that I was like, let's do it. I had the audition process. I had like a couple of dive tests as well, which was really fun. It was like, here's this big pool. We're going to drop loads of stuff at the bottom and we want you to get them all on one breath. And if you can do that, then okay, you can kind of do the role.
That reminds me of Ginnington swimming baths in Rotherham when when they used to chuck those rubber bricks into the bottom of the pool, and you're like, "Yep, I can do that." That means I'm world's best swimmer right now.
Literally,
so
I got a badge at the end of it.
Sew it on your trunks.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what were the biggest challenges? It being all underwater. Because if I'm right in saying, all of you were actually the ones in the water doing all that action. So
really? Because that actually surprised me because I always thought that the character of Brett. I for some reason I just convinced myself that wasn't him in that mask, and it was. My apologies, Brett. I'm so sorry.
No, it was all of us. That was so all the interiors we shot in Belgium. It was 10 hours a day in a tank for just about 5 weeks of diving. And before that, what production actually done is, and the guy who plays Brett, Alex, he had never dived before in his life either. So it was a huge thing. And what they did is they sent us out to Malta before we started filming. And it was fantastic. And they put us on the most intense diving course. And we actually ended up, by the end of the week, we had to get used to the claustrophobia of the tank because it's not just open at the top. There was a bit of a lid on it and there were small gaps to come up here and there. So they took us cave diving to get used to the claustrophobia and the tight space, which I never thought in my life I would ever do. But the dive team that I had also were just amazing and so chill. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll go in that cave. And they took us to an actual air pocket 10 meters down to get the feeling of what that would actually have been like. Because as you know in the film, there's different air pockets that we come up in. So yeah, the prep was quite intense.
I mean, the realism of the diving is excellent. I mean, I loved how, when you were coming up to the surface, you had to do a safety stop. Because there's so many films that, you see the divers and they're going straight up to the top, and you're thinking, oh, the bends, oh, he's not going to
Yeah.
do well. It's going to explode when he gets to the top. But it's really nice to see. I mean, how did you prepare then? So you had the training, but did you have to prepare? How did you prepare physically and mentally, knowing that you were taking on this role? You're going to be underwater for 10 hours a day for five weeks. I mean, did it scare you at all?
It actually didn't. I think the biggest thing that I thought was going to scare me was being in the tight spaces, because the set that they built was absolutely incredible. But one of the things that did happen during the sort of pre-production is I think they painted it slightly wrong, the coating of the paint. So what was happening in the tank is it was degrading the set a little bit, and the visibility was getting poorer and poorer, and they're like trying to fix it as we're filming, but it's getting like darker and darker under there. And I've got to say, we each had our little panic in turn, because I think there's only a certain point where you're like acting out panicking that your nervous system goes, oh, actually, shit, this is kind of scary. What are we doing here? So yeah, that did kick in a little bit sometimes in filming. But beforehand, I was just really excited, to be honest. And a lot of the times when we were getting ready to go to set, so Jack Parr, who plays Noah, and myself, we both had a couple of free diving stunts in it. So we would sort of be in the change room, and he'd always be like having the timer on to see how long he could hold his breath. We'd be sort of sitting there in makeup, just like, don't talk to me, I'm holding my breath for a bit. So yeah, that was fun. It was a good time.
Do you know what? Jack Parr, he's another sneaky one. He's not American either, Dan.
No.
He was in
tell you
Emmerdale.
what, I wasn't listening to him. He's an absolute dreamboat, isn't he? Look at it. I tell you what, how he's managed to pull that haircut off in this day and age as well. I was
You and your hair.
I was
You and your
smitten.
hair.
I tell you what, I've just been waiting since 1996. Well, actually, I think I had mine later, because I tell you what happened, Kim, and you were the right age for this as well. So, do you remember A1, the band A1, the boy band who sang "Caught in the Middle," and they re-released Aha's "Take on Me," and the lead singer of that used to have a beauty of a centre parting that came down here. Now, that really annoyed me, because that was about 3 years after the centre parting was cool, and I regretted cutting it off ever since that boy band came out. I was absolutely devastated about the whole thing. I'm still mardy about it now. And then Noah's brought it back. So
it could still be your time, Dan. It still could be time for the centre part. You never know.
I'm bringing it back.
Honestly, Dan, you've still got your hair, unlike others. Right, mate. You grow it and you make it work. You know,
I'm gonna top knot. It's all coming.
You got that.
Yeah. So, how hard is it to actually act underwater? Because it's one thing, delivering a great performance when you're not underwater and being chased by jaws.
Yeah.
But being underwater, how hard is it?
It's extremely hard. It's extremely hard, especially when. So obviously we have those masks on that allow us to talk to each other underwater, but as the sound team said, nobody's ever really tried to hook this many actors up at the same time and record the communication going on. So I know I'm trying to say any spoilers, but there's a bit of a scene there going on with Logan's character where there's quite a lot of chaos and a lot going on, a lot of talking over each other. And when we were filming that, I think I could only hear one person, and I was like, okay, I think somebody's talking. I think it's their line. It kind of felt like acting in a vacuum after a while, but I think it was also kind of liberating, because it was like you're acting in the dark underwater, so you do your best. If how.
So that's really impressed me there, actually, Kim. So you did the audio live. You didn't dub it in afterwards, because I for some reason I assumed you had to go back and go, right, this is the bit where I saw the shark, and they go, right, say shark, like Stephen Toast.
No.
Like, yeah.
No, so most of the dialogue we did there, but the problem was the recording of it, because there were so many of us going at the same time. So they had some audio had worked on some scenes, some hadn't. So we then had to go back into the ADR studio and go over things and rehash it a little bit. So we did do a lot of ADR on it, but underwater, I could hear people. We could hear each other's lines, but it would sound like kind of in the distance. And we had our director Joachim on an underwater speaker, which is also the most jarring thing ever because it kind of feels like it's in your head. And it's this speaker, and especially when we were filming the exteriors in Malta, because other people can hear it. If there's people diving nearby, they can hear it. And if he's shouting shark or something, it's probably a little bit
Yeah, cue
unsettling.
the shark. You're like, what?
Yeah,
Get out.
literally.
Talking about sharks, you know, I presume it's not a real shark. I mean, if it was, it's very well trained and should win an award some way down the line. I mean, you know, how did that work? Did they have like a stick with a ball on it, or did they say the shark's going to come that direction? How did that all
So
work?
we had our incredible safety dive team, and one of the girls on there, Melly, is the most incredible free diver. She can hold her breath for 6 minutes. She can free dive 50 meters. She's absolutely the most incredible woman. And she was our shark. So she'd be in her grey scuba with her grey swim hat, and she can swim so fast. So there'd be scenes when it would be like shark and look around, and it's cute little Melly like swimming really close to us and on her way to us. So yeah, that was kind of fun. But yeah, she was amazing as well. She made a great shark.
Yeah, she did.
Has there been any embarrassing moments on set? Because I can imagine you all being in the water for all that time. You know, we've already had a confession from one of the stars of Halo that he was in the waterfalls for quite a long time and he needed to go to the toilet. So was there any times, you know, any embarrassing moments that you had on set that you want to share?
Nothing to the degree of toilet, because at the end of the day, we're in a tank. So it's not quite like peeing in the sea. There was a mutual decision, nobody pee in the tank. I think that's pretty much fair and all involved.
Broke that decision. Somebody definitely broke that pack, didn't they? Because I know once that pressure kicks in.
I mean, as well, it's kind of awkward because it's like, okay, you're into filming, everyone's in the water. It's not a small feat to get everyone down. You're in position, sounds there, because like, you know, your sound team's all divers. They're all down there. Your camera team's down there. And it's like, after half an hour, you're like, oh, sorry, I need to stop everything because I need a wee. But yeah, no, luckily nothing embarrassing. I can't think of anything embarrassing. I've got to say, everyone's quite composed, apart from the odd panic attack that we like to take the piss out of each other for afterwards. But
do you have a group chat about that now? You're like, hey,
we still have our group chat going all the time. Yeah.
Excellent. Kim, don't go anywhere. Just need to. I've just looked at the time. We haven't even done the sponsor's message.
Yes, let's tell some people some things quick.
Yes, I won't be a second. Oh, so this is a sponsor's message. Our sponsors, as always, is a wonderful prop store. If you are in the market for a screen-used piece of costume or a prop from your favorite movie, it being Aliens, Gladiator, you name it, they've got props from every single movie you could think of.
Have they got a cuddly shark? I'm a shark fan now. I like shark things.
A cuddly shark.
Need some. Yeah,
they've probably got something from Jaws. I don't know. Maybe we can speak to Kim and get some stuff for him.
Well, we haven't asked Kim yet what she's robbed. So Kim, I know you can hear us in the background there. So start thinking about what you're going to fess up on. But do the code, Brian. Do the code. What's the code, Brian?
So
quick.
If you want to get 10% off at the Buy Now section on propstores.com's website, I'm going to bring the information up there.
What's the code? What's the code, Brian?
I'm trying to
find it. Brian? For 10%. What's the code, Brian?
Yeah! Brian 10 to get 10% off. They've got an auction coming up in LA very, very soon. So check out propstore.com and use that Brian 10 to get 10% off. That's a lot of money. You know, if something is £1,000 or $1,000, how much is that off, Dan?
That is 10%, Brian. And so we've gone with the
useless. Honestly, mate, every single week, I give you a simple mathematical test and you fail at the gates. But yeah, so Stephen Lane, the CEO, sent me a picture earlier on with him and King Charles that he met yesterday at Buckingham Palace, which is pretty, all right, isn't it? He'll be a knighthood next. Cannot wait. Let's go back to Kim. Kim, what did you nick from the set of The Last Bit?
Straight in.
You know what? I really desperately wanted to rob my wetsuit, but I just couldn't. It's kind of a hard thing to rob.
Why is it? You just roll it up, put it in your bag, go, what's that over there?
I think the way I'd do it, I'd leave it on and then just wear a baggy boiler
Just walk
suit.
it.
You know,
Go
you know
home
what
in
I
it.
mean? Just go,
Yeah.
right, lads, that's me done. See you later. What, this
Just
thing?
dripping in the
I
taxi.
always wear boiler suits. Me, I always wear them. I'm just trying to try something new. Do you like this belt? And then go, oh my god, look at that over there, and then just run away.
Yeah.
So without
I mean,
spoiling the
costumes
movie,
definitely the go-to robbing thing, I would say, for sure.
yeah.
Like, for sure.
So
I'm
you
not that
haven't
I ever
kept
do that,
anything. Did
obviously.
you have like a crew gift at the end?
And
Cast
the thing
and
that I
crew?
did keep, actually, that we all kept was, so to direct someone underwater is kind of difficult. So we'd have, Joachim would have his, our director would have his whiteboard, and we'd have like a briefing. And on the whiteboard would be like this whole map of the set, and we'd had these little like magnetic divers that represented each one of us. And he'd like have the divers, and he'd be like, okay, you're sliding in here to this position, and then you're going up here, and then when this happens, I want you to swim down here. And, you know, so you've got to know the map, you've got to listen, because once you get down there, you know, and yeah,
You've
by
got your
week 3,
little
you
guy.
sort of starts to get a bit like out the window, and you're not listening as hard as you should do it. And then you get down there, and you're like, oh shit. But I have my little magnetic diver from there, so that's what I got. But that was more of a gift. I didn't really rob it.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you know what? I would be
not
tempted to
enough,
replace
really.
those magnetic divers with, you know, them kids' magnetic animals that you can get, you know, like for kids that you put on magnetic walls, and just replace them
Oh,
one
we
day.
had a
So when you
magnetic
go,
shark as well.
oh, there you go, there
But
you
you
go.
know,
Dan got confused there for a second. No, that's awesome. You know, this film, you know, it's got a great cast, Jack Parr. And the rest. Have you got a favorite
The rest.
scene with a certain person on this set that you know will always be with you?
I think, to be honest, my favorite scenes, I have 2. Definitely in the group in the beginning in the bar when we're first meeting, because we just had so much fun meeting that. And I think because we all bonded when we were in Malta, like training together, and we all got really tight knit. So when we were filming that, I was like, act drunk. I was like, okay, I got you. Don't worry. Like, have a laugh with your mates. Okay, cool. But also got a shout out, obviously, to Julian, and getting to work with him as like such a legend. And having a really lovely scene with him on the boat. He was always just such a complimentary and such an encouraging and positive like force. So having that time, just the 2 of us, to do our scene together was really special. And he was there for like all of the prep and absolutely everything we did along the way. Like, he would stay on set for hours, even when he wasn't really needed. If he just needed to throw a line in the background, he would still be there to give you that line, and he would give it every time, which was amazing. So yeah, definitely
Wow.
shooting with Julian was a real pleasure.
As part of my notes, I'd actually written down how long on set did Julian actually stay, but you've already answered it, because obviously
Yeah.
he's more a voice than a presence in this movie, and I
Yeah.
love his character, and I love the way, you know, obviously being from Yorkshire myself, that
Yeah, his accent.
he's embraced that accent so hard. I
Mhm.
absolutely adored it, and that you know, that's now his legacy. That's now his
Yeah.
bookend, and the fact that he's brought that in, I was like, yes, Yorkshire. I heard it straight away as soon as he started. I was like, yes, I'm
I
going to
wasn't
enjoy this.
expecting it as well. We're on the table read. We're all trying to do our best without American accents, and out of nowhere, there's like strong Yorkshire accent. I was like, oh, hi. And there's a scene where he's cheering off the boat, and watching him do that and do it with like such gusto and this like thick Yorkshire accent. It was like, yeah, it was very heartwarming. It was great.
Do you know what? I love it when he's in the bar and he goes, "This is my effing bar," like that, and it's just it's just great. But for me, Julian Sands, you know, Warlock, which is one of my favorite movies that he was in, and of course, then he played Superman's dad in Smallville, and he's done so many great, you know, projects. So for this to be sadly his last, what a way to be remembered, and it's just great that, you know, and also not to spoil it in the film, but what a way. I just think, and at the end when the credits came up, I won't lie, I had a thing in my throat when it said in memory for our friend Julian Sands, and it's just really, really nice. I mean, you know, what was he like sort of off camera? You know, did you get any advice from him? Was he a joker?
He was a joker, and sorry if it choked him as well. He was very mischievous, is probably the best way to describe him. As Alex, who plays Brett, was definitely the butt of a bit of a prank one day on set. So when we were, he probably tells the story way better than I do, but it stuck with me. So we would go on lots of speedboats in the morning to get to the main boat to shoot the exteriors. And it would be very early, sort of 5 a.m. And you got the crew very intensely, like boat safety, get your life jacket on, sitting there. And this one morning it was just Julian and Alex, and very tired. Alex was trying to put the life jacket on, and he was like Julian, how do I put this on? I can't remember. And he was like, I think you just pull that little toggle there. Of course, Alex pulls it. The whole thing's like inflated everywhere. The crew are pissed, thinking like, what are you doing? Like, no, I've got to reset the whole thing. And it's just like, got to give the whistle a little blow as well while you're there. And he's like, no, don't think I will, Julian, but thank you. Alex hates me. So yeah, he was definitely mischievous, and just really positive. We had like a very, very interesting activity before we started filming. They brought this guy in called the Lego guy, and he sort of does like team building things, and you sort of build the world of your script through Lego. And he came along to this, and it's the first time we met him, and he was just so involved. And yeah, it was like a bunch of adults around a table playing with Lego, building their characters and like playing it out, which was really fun. And he was just really positive and just always very complimentary, and yeah, really, really lovely presence on set.
Well, the great thing is he's going to be remembered in many, many amazing projects, and this sadly being his last. But what a way to end your career with a great film. The Last Breath is available now on video on demand and in America, not until the 26th of July. So you guys will have to wait. It was Happy Treason Day the other day. I made sure I put out the on the 4th of July. I do it every year. It's great.
Treason Day.
So quickly before we end this live stream, I like to do a bit of research on my guests on IMDb, and the one thing I love, reading is trivia, and there's nothing there. So I think we need to put some trivia on there, Kim.
Oh,
so
God.
some fast-fired questions. So here we go. Are you ready?
No, but go on then.
So, Kim, what is your go-to karaoke song, and how would you rate your performance on a scale from 1 to 10?
Oh, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, definitely, and a 1 out of 10, maybe minus.
Oh my,
Sorry.
Kim, that is ridiculous. Like that is one of the. Sing something that'd be easier to sing. That's
I know,
like
but
me
I love
going,
it.
oh yeah, sweet child of mine. Yeah, I can reach all them notes. Yeah, crack on.
I mean, if you're going to karaoke to be good at it, I don't want to go with you personally, is my position on it.
While we're on that subject as well, Kim, right? I've got this thing. Like I work in hospitality and bars, and people are constantly trying to throw down this this thing about private karaoke booths. Now, for me, that kind of takes out the entire point of karaoke, right? In it to sing in front of an audience. Me singing in front of my nearest and dearest friends sounds bloody awful and a bit awkward. Where do you sit on that?
No, I think I've actually done one of those. I used to live in South China, and they're really popular in Asia, and went with a group of mates. And as long as there's a lot of bevies involved, it's pretty chaotic, I'd say. A lot of fun.
I'll give it you.
Yeah.
Right,
I
on
highly
to the next
recommend.
one. So if you could pick any superpower to help you in your acting career, what would it be and why?
Oh, I sing, to be able to sing. Yeah, actually. I could do musicals.
Excellent.
Good
What's the
one.
most hilarious and embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh God, I don't know. Panic. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay.
We'll circle back.
Circle back.
If you could star in a remake of any classic movie, which one would you choose and why?
Gladiator. No, Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump. Sorry, changed my mind. Oh, that's yeah.
Hang on. If you're
I'd be
playing
Jenny.
Jenny, I mean, that is a very objectionable character. Do you know what I mean? If you think about Jenny's story arc in that movie,
Oh yeah.
hey, hey, I don't like you, but I'm going to keep rejecting you all the way through the movie, and then
I
now
never said I
I'm,
like playing nice people just because sounds nice, hey?
I genuinely thought you'd go down the route of like Never-Ending Story or something like that when you mentioned fantasy or something like
Yeah.
you could have been the
Right.
princess with no
Yeah,
name, but
okay.
you've already
Or
landed on
Pirates of the
Forrest Gump now,
Caribbean, there's
Kim.
so many options. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, the next one is if you could swap lives with any fictional character for the day, who would it be and what would you do?
Fictional character. You know what? Let's stick to the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. I'd be Captain Jack Sparrow. Let's do that. That looks fun. Hell yeah.
That would.
Let's do
That would.
that.
And then if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be and what would you ask them?
What else? Oh my God. What is that? Okay. Crap. I can't even think of any dead people right now. I'm panicking.
Well, what about the
Straight
books
to the
you've
dead
read?
people. I don't know.
Huh?
You were talking about some of the books you've read, some of the biographies like Viola Davis et al. Like is there not something like Betty Davis or something like that, or Joan Collins, or one of these?
Oh yeah.
She brings
Alan
some glamour,
Rickman.
doesn't she?
Alan
Oh,
Rickman,
Alan
definitely.
Rickman.
Just because
Yeah.
what an actor. I
Mhm.
just wouldn't want to listen to him speak. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely Alan Rickman. Yeah, that's what I've got at the moment. I'm sorry, this is so bad.
It's
I'm
okay.
terrible at big bag
it-
questions. What are you
It's
doing to
okay,
me?
but very quickly, Alan Rickman, I met him once. I was quite
Did you?
drunk. I was at college and we was doing like a theatre in education thing at Nottingham Playhouse, and he came to watch one of the shows because his friend was one of the directors. And as he walked past the Limehouse next to Nottingham PlayStation, I was a bit drunk, saw him, recognised him straight away from like Die Hard 2. And I went, "Cool, Auntie got big feet." And he looked
Brilliant.
at me and said, "You're right there." And I regret that to this day that I've never had an
Oh,
opportunity.
you're the worst. You're the
Yeah,
absolute worst.
I know.
Kim,
One of
Kim,
one of my idols. Do you know what I mean?
Kim,
Yeah,
Kim,
nailed
Brian,
it. Really nailed it.
Brian, in it. Brian's got a family now, Kim, so he's a bit more straight laced and don't get boshed up like the rest of us anymore now. You know what I mean?
No more bungee jumping hungover.
No.
You know what I mean? It's kind of an old life for him, but for some reason, he's still got this career of every time he meets somebody of repute from the entertainment industry, he's off his tits, and I don't know how he manages it. What was
it's
the one
only
in
happened once.
Chicago? Who did you meet in Chicago when you were three cockerels to the country file?
Quite a few people. What?
Yeah,
what?
brilliant.
Are we talking about Kevin Smith?
Was it Kevin Smith? You were off
Yeah.
your bonds then, weren't you? Weren't you boshed up then?
Yeah, can we not? We're live.
Kevin Smith, Kim. Kevin Smith. He's a big Superman
God.
fan. He's had a Superman script rejected and turned down and not made. Imagine the conversations they could have had. No, he's gone. Oh, have another round then, or what? Let's get some tequilas or something stupid. Stupid.
I was having fun, Dan. I was having fun. And the last question.
That sounds quite fun.
Exactly. So the last question I always ask is: if your life was a movie, Kim, what title would it have?
Oh. Why does car crash come to mind? That's awful. That's the first thing that came into my brain. I don't know why I said that, but yeah.
Oh.
Chaos, definitely. I like to think of a little bit chaotic.
Organized chaos is a good shout.
Yeah,
actually, that's
exactly.
a good one.
That is what I describe myself as. Organized chaos.
And you've got 5 projects in post-production. Is there anything that you could quickly talk about that may be coming out soon? Or is it a case of putting your feet up and enjoying the last breath and all the excitement
There's a couple of
around
things
that?
that I can't talk about that I want to, but I can't. Got a couple of feature films coming out, one called An Enemy Within, which I'm very excited about, and I can't say much more than that. But I have a short film back to the festival rounds called Trust Thy Sister, which is a very surrealist take on the witch trials. Kind of Black Swan vibes, about 3 women doing a play on the witch trials and how they slowly lose their mind in the blur between reality and the theatre show. Really proud of it. Female director or female cast, it's just one of those projects where you get on set and you're like, holy shit, these people are amazing, and I'm very excited for people to see it. They did an incredible job with it.
Well, whenever you can talk about anything, would love to have you back on to
Absolutely.
chat about all your future projects. I'm excited about that witch one because I'm fascinated with witches. Did you know in Canterbury, in Kent, they've still got a witching chair? An
Okay.
actual chair that they used back when they did the witch trials and all that lot. They used to dip women into the
Oh my
water.
God.
Yeah, they've still got it in Canterbury. Honestly, Dan, I'm not
Right.
making it up. You can Google it. Yeah,
That's such a dark history. Yeah,
it is.
Look
It's
I
a
mean,
strange
at that,
I
time.
people.
would want to see it,
It is a
You've
strange
come to
time,
talk about
and-
your movie, and all of a sudden you're now learning things about the county which you
I
were
am,
from. So
yeah.
that's nice.
well, Essex, not Kent, but it's close. It's close. It's just across the Dartford Bridge, which they still keep charging people for.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, which is a disgrace. But no, Kim, don't go anywhere. We're going to end the stream. Thank you everyone for watching. As always, I'm going to sound like a teenager now. Hit subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And we'll be back next week with another amazing guest. So thank you so much.
Thank
Dan,
you for
thank
having
you
me.
as always. Thank
Yeah.
you, Kim. All right, here we
Bye.
go. I'm going to end it. Don't go anywhere. We'll say goodbye properly.